then. Again, I hope you can hear me well. So hello everyone, and thank you for this invitation, ABSL. Really great topic. I would like to have as many questions as possible. I will prepare some slides. I will present some slides, and then we should have a Q&A. So my name is Andrei Ivan. I'm representing Skanska today. I'm a project director. And few facts about Skanska is one of the largest project development and construction companies in the world. What we create and make is very tangible and often lasts beyond a lifetime. As the project in this slide, Equilibrium, which we're currently working on. So what we want to highlight is the essence of the value we bring to society goes well beyond the physical places we create, like this one. And the whole presentation today is based on two pillars: sustainability and then the new piece of work that we did in terms of care for life office concept, as we call it, meaning our actions and our learnings during the pandemics and how should we adapt the concept of future workplaces, future-proof, as we call them, workplaces that we are creating. So by that, here are only a few quick facts about the group, from which I would like to highlight today that we've been around for 100 years and we want to be around for at least 100 more. So the construction industry, as we know it, is accounts for roughly 39% of energy-related carbon dioxide emissions, according to World Green Building Council. So recognizing that, Skanska has set an ambitious target of achieving the net zero carbon emissions by 2045. And important to mention that in the last 5 years, we were able to reduce the emissions by 28%. And I'm starting with this highlight because it's well connected with the topic of today. This pandemic comes in a moment when we were focusing especially on how should we address the climate change through our products, and having already the focus for many years on that, as well as on the well-being and health or healthiness of our users, of the people working in our projects. It was just a natural continuation on the work that we started many years ago. And another highlight here is that we've been ranked actually 20th, number 20th in Fortune Change the World list in 2019. And then the progress, and it's not updated in this slide, is that we have now 17th. We've been ranked as number 17th in their Change the World list in 2020. So that's a really good progress, confirming the focus that we have on this design for social impact and how we can link the purpose with the profit that we are working to deliver. So by that, I would say that sustainability is integral to our business, and that's why sustainability is simply how we want to do business. We developed some of the most iconic landmarks in some of the biggest cities, from stadiums to transit hubs, roads to hospitals. In CDE, as we call it, Commercial Development Europe, we focus on delivering outstanding office products. And this is what we will discuss today. And then on this slide, we have mapped in a very simple way, where we can make a positive impact in society. So we think that by promoting community investments and diversity and inclusion is one pillar, and then having this design for social impact and climate smart solutions that helps cutting carbon down and build resilience, together with pushing always forward for the industry safety standards. And that's something recognized as well by the supply chain we're working in, and we're very proud to keep the focus on health and safety improvement during the years, as well as having a huge focus on ethics and transparency. So we want to keep being an ethical role model. Also a bit of a context before jumping to care for life office concept, as we call it. It's important to say that when it comes to to emissions, again, around 40% of energy-related emissions globally are within our industry. So we have a huge role to play in tackling the global climate challenge, and this is, I'm asking for more to join this journey. So one measure we took for reaching the goal of the Paris Agreement is setting this target by 2045 to become carbon neutral, and then by 2030 to reduce by half the emissions. It's a very challenging target, but still we have no other option. We want to achieve this important target by 2030 as well as by 2045. So jumping more closely to the design for social impact, it's important to say that when we design for social impact, in order to understand the social needs, we need to listen to our customers. So this is where we started. We are actively listening to our customers and their needs, and the people working in our buildings to address the current needs, challenges, and also demands that they have from the workplaces. And by that, we want also to give proof points on the measures and actions we took. So, for example, the 4 certifications that you see here on this slide, I will briefly explain them, are confirming also the path on addressing the social needs, meaning the well health and safety rating. The top one that you see there is the latest one that we got last year in December for 8 projects we developed in CEE. And it's confirming the measures and the actions that we took to reduce the risk of spreading the virus. This certification is also issued by International Wellbeing Institute, that is also responsible for the regular well certification, but is specifically designed for pandemic requirements, let's say. And besides that one, we have the regular well certification on focusing more on users' experience, the quality of the air, the water, nourishment, mind, comfort. There are 10 criteria, 10 chapters to address within this certification. All of them focus on the user, not on necessarily on the project itself, and only that. So it's very interesting that we see also the shift from the certification schemes from only leads that we started many, many years ago, and then adding this well certification to address more the social needs. And last but not least is also a certification more used in Poland, where they have this barrier-free, it's called, environment, but it's applied in all our projects. We have no barriers, so people can join our placemaking, the areas that we build. So it's also addressing the community's needs, not only the tenants or visitors' needs and experience. And last but not least, having the user's experience in focus, confirming what I said by now is really understanding what is in it for them, what can we do in order to enable them to work healthier and with increased well-being. In a simple way, again, we build for a better society. So dealing with risks is part of our DNA. So we analyze different scenarios, and this is what we did also last year after the pandemic started. Climate risks are part of our risk and opportunity management. So to be able to create a society resilient to pandemic and climate impacts, Skanska implements these new safety standards in office buildings and creates the new office concept, upholding in this way the position of early adopters of external certifications like LEED and WELL. So it's about, again, being able to provide proof points on the taken actions. It's not only necessarily to talk, but also to walk the talk by having this kind of proof points. And then we see also as well an increased demand from our investors as well in providing facts and figures for the sustainability performance. So these two combined gives us the opportunity to establish several rules and adapt the workplaces in Central and Eastern Europe to support our tenants returning to the office journey. The new offer, it's called care for life office concept and includes recommendations and consultancy regarding new hygiene and safety protocols, adjustment technologies in Skanska's buildings, and reorganization of office areas. And not only that, the concept is being developed in cooperation with both internal and external experts. We've been working closely with an epidemiologist that gave us great input, as well as with a design company called ARP. And we've been investigating different scenarios on how to adapt the product to be resilient and reduce the risk of spreading the virus. So it was a lot of knowledge sharing and new safety standards. And I will explain more in the next slides. In this brochure that we designed with the aim of addressing the user experience also from the first input point of view. When you see the slide, you feel already that it's something attractive in a way, defining what's the new normal with not only the restrictions and all the things that you cannot do or you should avoid. We think that the new normal should be defined in this way, to have this well thought out architectures that ensure a healthy space. And how can we stay productive when everything goes crazy? That was on the top of the list during last year, and it still is. So for us, well thought architecture creates a space where people can function healthily, both mentally and physically, and that's like a prerequisite. As the situation may not be the best ever, we still want to derive something positive. So that's the idea of this concept, and it's not the first time humanity has had to do it. That's another prerequisite. Necessity is the mother of invention. So here we are now talking about some of the ideas that will, tweak a bit the concept of the future-proof workplaces. And there wouldn't be sewers in London if they hadn't had to deal with a cholera outbreak. So that's a fact. And speaking about facts, how are we all feeling? This is the questions we often have when we discuss with the colleagues in the office. Do you feel tired or trapped? That's absolutely normal. That's our conclusion. And while you may be saving time getting to work, on the other hand, it could be difficult to stay work effective in an environment usually meant for chilling. So we know it's not easy to be creative without your favorite teammates. Months of a pandemic have highlighted that, and then the studies also confirmed it. So to make you feel safe working in our buildings, Skanska team has prepared a healthy environment waiting for your safe return to the office. That's the message we are sending. And then, of course, the future is digital. So let's use the technology to feel more human when circumstances don't let us. So now, going to external help we had, as mentioned, this help from Alexandra. She's an epidemiologist, and she supported our conclusions. She said that online calls cannot simply replace social interactions. That's why it is so important to prepare healthy environment, both physical and mental health. And then we discussed with her the preventive actions we can do, and I will go through them in the next slides. So we are always trying to keep ahead and prepare on our products to have all the actions taken to reduce this risk. So now we see that our constant actions are paying off. The actions that started with the WELL certifications a few years ago. With the Care for Life office concept, it's easy to understand that there's nothing new here, it's just a continuation. So it will be easier for you to keep track of, follow all the new rules we provide in offices to prevent spreading the virus and other diseases. It's not something totally new and reinventing the wheel. It's just a continuation. And based on that, here's our take on being healthy and productive while again enjoying our work premises. How does it work? So it's pretty nice and simple. We prepared this kind of brochure. In case of doubt recall, for example, not wearing a mask is a big no-no. Still, we need to keep the mask on when we are working in the open space. We have only few cases where we are able to take it off in phone booths and during calls like this one, and then we should disinfect everything and go back wearing a mask on. And to go in concrete facts in terms of 4 areas that we've developed, we have addressed the air quality management and control system, the touch-free solutions, and then the FM plan to really create the pillars for this Care for Life office concept. So in terms of air quality management and control, we provide fresh air supply at 40 cubicle meters per hour per person, and that's a minimum. And again, that's for a density of 6 square meters for each person. So it's highly dense, densely occupied premises. What we want to say with this fact is that this is the top 1 requirement confirmed also with the epidemiologist. Providing the amount of fresh air is reducing substantially the risk of spreading the virus. So when a space is a little bit more crowded, like kitchens, corridors, and primary rooms, we can also discuss about adding UV treatment through equipment that might help to reduce the risk of spreading the virus, as the fresh air must come also with this 40 cubicle meters per hour is top requirement before assessing the risk for going through UVGI and so on. And besides that, also maintain temperature between 40 and 60% is helping a lot to decrease the risk of spreading the virus, as we found out during the studies that the best range for the humidity to reduce also not only COVID related symptoms, but also the other ones, like general flus and so on, are for humidity kept between 40 and 60%. So that's another takeaway. It should be also considered. And then when it comes to openable windows, our conclusion was that people are requesting more and more openable windows, and that's fine. And it's different in different markets. We just need to make sure that the openable windows are communicating with the HVAC system so that the building still can be sustainable and reduce the carbon emissions. But not only that, to consider as well the pollution in the location of that specific building, because it doesn't make sense to really open the window in a highly polluted area. That's why we have systems in place with the performance filters to really make sure that the fresh air introduced for the occupants is really high quality, and it's supporting the well-being of the users. And besides these 4 things, we also have an allowance for HVAC terminal equipment and ducting, allowing for flexible fit-out arrangements. We saw more and more during the last year that tenants are requesting this flexibility in terms of being able to rearrange their work premises, creating more collaborative areas, more areas that people will be able to work on the specific task force, not only keeping the desk-related standards that they had in place so far. So to be able to accommodate that, you really need to have a flexible HVAC terminal equipment infrastructure, let's call it like that. Then in terms of touch-free solutions, we've been investigating a lot on the available solutions. And it's way more fun than you think because technology is here. So with all touch-free systems throughout the whole building, such as virtual cards for specific entrances, automatic equipment and dispensers in the toilets, as well as touch-free access throughout the turnstiles, it is friendly for everyday users and also their guests. And by that, we mean also the virtual reception that we have in Equilibrium, for example, that people can use it. So there's no worry. It shouldn't be more overwhelming than the pandemic itself is. Technology is here to help. So the message we are sending is more kind of, don't be afraid, just stick to the rules, and you can have an amazing experience going back to the office. In terms of space planning, consultancy, and social distancing measures, we've been talking with Arup again, this huge company in terms of architecture, and to make it nice, we are here for the tenants to suggest the best space planning possible. Skanska buildings are now, ready to introduce meeting rooms in a special pandemic mode. You can find there special amenities that support the face-to-face collaboration. We'll also be glad to share our space plan recommendations as digital simulations, and we have a virtual tour that we can do through a platform that our colleagues in leasing developed. It's amazing how many things you can understand from the building just by running this virtual tour through the platform. So it's not only the meeting rooms ready for the pandemic mode and so on, but it's really the building ready to be to work for the pandemic mode. And by that we mean also the emergency preparedness, the facility management, the cleaning protocols. All these things are more kind of addressed under this well health and safety rating, because it's a third party confirming that the plans are in place to reduce the risk of spreading the virus transmission. But also we've been using these computer simulations to allow tenants to optimize the use of their space. So we found out which are the areas with more risks in terms of spreading the virus. Gathering areas within a premises, like the corridor near the kitchen, like coffee point, like the printer area, things like that were concluded after running the simulations, as well as the last desk in a row, the last towards the corridor, not the one towards the window, as a tip. It's the, let's say, riskier. The risk of spreading the virus in that area is higher than for the people working near the facade, just because there are not so many people working through that user's desk. It's the other way around. Everybody is going towards the corridor by step by step going through the other desks, near the other desks. So it's pretty logical. But you need to have a computer simulation to really see how colors are changing to highlight this risk. And then also we thought a lot on how to bring people back to the office safer in terms of commuting to work. So biking facilities are really helping, and they are available together with the showers, amenities, and so on that we have in the buildings. So especially during the springtime and summertime, we can see more and more people commuting to work by bike or e-scooters or walking. That's really good. In terms of facility management, all buildings operated now in our region are operated based on the Commercial Development Europe FM procedure. So it's including as well the sanitizing procedures, besides all the rules of distancing and wearing the masks and so on. But that's more kind of internal tool. In terms of external tool, we are using this well health and safety rating certification with proofs on the healthy environment. So this is pretty much about the 4 areas of our measures and so on. In terms of conclusions, I would again ask for as many questions and to use these slides as support. Besides what you see here, this is an extract from the brochure where you can see people in equilibrium, our colleagues in FM taking care of the sanitizing plan, the camera screening the temperatures for the users before entering in the building, the air handling unit with all the features to really make sure that the fresh air is here to help the well-being of the people working in the building, as well as them. I'm not sure if it's so visible on that door of the elevator, but the messages we are sending are more kind of supporting, also having a smile on your face when you're coming back to the office, because we found out many times that we have all these rules, we don't stay here, don't touch that, and so on, that are really not helping from the user's experience to come back to the office or to use that whatever premises is or restaurant or whatever. Should be more kind of rule that you should understand, but more in a fun way, just to enable you to also change the habits step by step. That's one message. And then the other message is join us in our journey on reducing the carbon emissions. They're all connected. And we really think that by cutting down the emissions, we will have totally different products and different future for us and for the next generation. So that's my last, let's say, note. Join us on our journey. And thank you all. Stay safe. And now let's jump, hopefully, to many questions. I will go now in the chat to see if we have some questions. So we have some questions. I went last week to the office, and now that I was feeling stressed, because even if we kept the distance, we were all those present there breathing the same air. What do you do to make the air safe in the office? That's a great question, just because it's coming from the clearly a user having concerns that we all had, like initially when had to go back to the office. So as I was mentioning, the main contributor to reducing the risk of spreading the virus is the fresh air ratio. And that's the minimum 40 cubicle meters I was mentioning. Even though you don't have openable windows and you don't perceive that you have this fresh air amount, you have it. You just need to make sure that you get it in the specs and it's well operated by the property management company, the FM company, to make sure that you get this 40 cubical meters. Because having this fresh air amount reduces substantially the risk of getting infected. According to our calculations, the risk of getting infected, keeping this kind of fresh air ratio is 0.53%. So it's really small risk. And adding all the other measures on top of that is really reducing again dramatically. And the calculation was done based on the density of 1 person for each 6 square meters, which is not a pandemic density in none of the buildings we have. So that's helping a lot. This is how we make sure to reduce the risk of spreading the virus. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning is very important in an office. At the same time, we also some experiments regarding how air conditioning can help spreading the disease. What is true and what is a myth, and what are the trends here? So we know from the news from Asia that there had a few cases in the restaurants where they had poorly ventilated premises, that these AC units helped in a way spreading the virus in the whole restaurant, not only for the people in that specific area. But the case there, and we discussed that case with the epidemiologist, was that they had no fresh air. So it was a closed, let's say, area. People were sharing the same kind of amount of available air without no fresh air introduced. So in this case, of course, the AC is just helping to spread, let's say, through airborne transmission. But that's not the case in the office buildings where you have the amount of fresh air introduced to reduce the risk. So again, as a main takeaway, fresh air amount is #1 priority to reduce the spreading the virus. The next one is, hi Andre, you opened the Equilibrium one just before pandemic, and I remember passing by and imagining people laying down on the esplanade, having their lunches in the summer. What happened last year there? We'll be able to have a coffee there this year, and how many people are now enjoying the inside. Slide topogram you have. So that's, yeah, okay. So I will start answering from the end. The topogram we have, it's in the first floor. It belongs to our tenant, Impact Hub. I don't have an engineering response in terms of how many people per day are using it, but I know for sure that some of us tried it, and it's really cool. In terms of having coffees, we already started to have many people in the placemaking, as you call it. It's the nice area in front of the building with the stairs, and even having lunches. I had a lunch 2 hours ago, and one colleague from the building was eating in front of the building on the benches, just because she was able to enjoy the sun, and then having also areas for the specific activities, grabbing a coffee, have a talk, have even a lunch. We have tables also for being able to work and to charge phones and laptops with an infrastructure built in the tables, are things that enable people to really think that they can do it. You really can go outside and work if the weather is fine, and then if you want to enjoy some sun, that's totally doable. So to answer the question, I'm inviting you for a coffee. We have also a coffee point in the ground floor to enjoy the sun, as now we have it. How did having buildings with well standard help you? Actually, we were measuring this in terms of rating surveys that we do with the tenants, and I don't remember the precise number, but it was definitely supporting the people to feel safer having these certificates. First, we did it, of course, for our own products to make sure that we, always pushing to increase the quality and have the continuous improvement concept in place. But then also having the confirmation from the tenants, it helped a lot, just to confirm that it's not something that we only do with the intrinsic and internal focus, but having also the demand from the customers. And that's not only the tenants, that's not only about the users of the building getting the confirmation, we have also the confirmation from the investors. And now the investors are also asking about not only LEED, but also in some cases about the WELL certification. So I think that's really a good direction we are heading. We have another one. Can you please share the simulation data? Actually, that was the internal tool that we established with Arup that we can, we should use for getting the conclusions that I shared with you. The simulations can be ordered, nevertheless, on Arup's site. So that's totally fine. Of course, it should be that the simulation can be done specifically on your layout to be relevant, especially for you. Other than that, we can explain the conclusions from the simulation while discussing the space plan with the tenants. So with that, we can help. Of course, once we get in touch and start drawing the space plan. Can we have also raised hand questions in a way so that we can check? Not only, maybe not everybody is feeling comfortable on writing on chat, but we have the opportunity to ask directly some questions. Is it possible?
Yes.
Great. So waiting for the next questions. And by then, I would speak more about this design for social impact because it's something new and we need a lot of input from the users. So design for social impact started in Skanska many years ago, as I said, but now it's like we are really pushing to get to kind of structured way of working with a design for social impact, because people are more and more open to speak about it and express their needs. It's not anymore about the product and that's it, the building itself. It's more about us working inside those buildings, what's in it for us. So then it's very important also for the employers to listen to the employees' needs and then to translate into demands and requirements for us as developers. In this way, we will be more effective in, transforming the concepts we have. And that's again a message to join this journey. Okay, let's wait 1 more minute, and then if we don't have any more questions, then we can close the session. Okay, no further questions, so that was it. Really big thank you, ABSL, for giving the chance of sharing some thoughts around the future-proof workplaces, and keep in touch. Stay safe. All the best. Bye-bye.